Welcome back to Mornings on 2. The time now is 8:49. When author Steve Ettlinger's daughter asked him, "What's polysorbate 60?" he was stumped. Then he went and searched for the answer. And in the process, he got intrigued with the ingredients in processed foods and ended up writing this book, Twinkie Deconstructed. Mr. Ettlinger joins us this morning. Nice to have you here.
Glad to be here.
How old was your daughter when she asked you that question?
She was 6.
6 years old. And why did she ask the question? I mean, it's...
She saw me reading the label on an ice cream bar that I was feeding her and her brother at the beach one day. And like I always do, I look idly at the label, at the ingredients, and they're saying, "What are you reading, Daddy?" And of course, I was sort of at a loss for even that. Then my older child, my son, started reading it down. High fructose corn syrup, polysorbate 60. So we were talking about it, and I could not answer anything, whereas normally I answer everything.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly accurately.
You know everything. Your dad, of course. So what is polysorbate 60?
It's a fantastic emulsifier. It largely replaces egg yolk in a lot of foods. It's also in shampoo, by the way. It's a great goo.
And so, and the book, Twinkie, because you use Twinkie as the example of all the things that go in foods that we're not aware of. The polysorbate 60 is in this Twinkie, or these Twinkies.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's probably...
Is it the cream in there?
It's most important in the cream filling. That's C-R-E-M-E, folks, not the C-R-E-A-N.
Yeah. Because there's, I mean, I thought there were like maybe a little butter and then some eggs and cream and...
No. Now, you can make them at home with eggs, butter, and cream. They taste great, and I did that. I wrapped it up in plastic, put it on my shelf, and a week later it was green.
Right. So there's no cream in the cream, but it tastes like cream.
Right. It's got emulsifiers like polysorbate 60 and mono and diglycerides. It's got cellulose gum, which is a white powder made from the fuzz on cotton seeds or from trees, cellulose fiber, which absorbs water and sort of a fat replacer. It's in a lot of low-fat ice cream and salads.
Now, isn't this polysorbate 60 also used in rocket fuel?
Oh, yes. Not the polysorbate 60, cellulose gum. Because they want it to be a little gel-like.
And the reason for that is...
Well, it handles better. I mean, you know that, rocket fuel. And
Sure.
But the funny thing is that it's a gelatinous... If you dump some of the cellulose gum into water, as I did, it becomes a gelatinous glob in about 2 seconds. It just soaks it right up.
Yeah. And where does it get the sweetness in? Because this would be ho-hos, ding-dongs, anything like that.
They're
would be
all
the same.
very, very similar.
Is this the same tasting Twinkie that we had as kids?
You know, I would love to check that out. But so far, I've been stumped by, oh my gosh, by the ability to find a Twinkie from 1930 or 40 or 50 that would, you know, we could compare the taste to. A lot of people say they've changed. No way I can tell.
This doesn't have the same great taste that I remember when I was a little younger, which was only a couple of years ago.
Only a couple of years ago,
You
yeah, me too.
understand that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you have second thoughts now about what we eat?
Well, it has sort of reinforced my love for whole foods, fresh foods, local foods. I don't go off on a rant about it, but the fact is that when I feed my kids grapes or bananas or yogurt for dessert, I think I'm doing a little bit better than a processed food. In general, I try to avoid processed foods, but it's a more personal taste. I follow the Mediterranean diet, for example, a lot of olive oil.
Well, that's good. That's all. We know that's good for us too. There's that long standing joke that you can take a Twinkie and put it on the shelf and it lasts 25 years. You say that's not true.
No, it'll last. It'll dry out.
Yeah.
But it won't spoil. It won't spoil. There's so much sugar in it, and a tiny bit of sorbic acid, which ironically is the only preservative in Twinkies. It's amazing. But sorbic acid works so well. It's safe, supposedly. It's like salt, but it is actually a food. It's a fatty acid.
In tracking down the ingredients in the Twinkie and other similar foods, you went actually to some of the areas, right?
Oh, yes.
You went into mines. You went in. I mean, all this is coming
factories.
from. Yeah, and you had to be amazed at what you saw.
I was totally amazed.
What ingredients in here are used in other ingredients? Like in going through it, I found the gloss in leather.
Right.
Is provided through one of the ingredients.
One of the sugars, glucose. It's also in hand cream, Burt's Bees hand cream. I think it's so interesting because my hand skin is probably like leather. It needs a little bit of that. And as I say, you find the polysorbate 60 in a lot of shampoos. You find some of these ingredients that are in the processed foods like Twinkies also in health foods like the Sweet Dairy Whey. is a great source of protein. It's used here to make add a little browning effect, but it's in protein
So
bars too.
bottom line, when people pick up the book and they read it, what do you want them to walk away with?
That if you care about what you eat, you should know where it comes from.
Yeah.
And when you know where it comes from, either that'll bring you some satisfaction or it might make you change your diet. But just the joy of knowledge for me is enough.
Yeah. Well, you can meet Steve tonight. He's going to be at the Capitola Book Cafe in Capitola, and the phone number's on the screen. Do you let your kids eat Twinkies anymore?
I do, but they're not interested.
Good for them. They're smart. Thank you, Steve.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your stay on the West Coast.
Thank you.
Time
I
now
will.
is 8:54. Let's go back to the desk.